I created a home care agency as a registered nurse, and I made $1 million in my first 18 months while I was working full time. Had no clue, no business plan, no attorney, didn't know what the heck I was doing, and built that just on referrals. Found the problem and knew that there had to be a way. I think by year three, I was making $6 million a year, had quit my job full time as the nurse, and then 2008, 9, 10 happened. My clients were doctors and lawyers and judges, and when they were getting their salaries cut or being furloughed, that meant they couldn't pay my invoices, which meant that I couldn't pay my 200 people that I had working for me. I didn't have an exit plan. So once you start your business, that's great. Anybody can start a business. It's what's the exit strategy? How are you going to get up out of here?
Hey guys, welcome back. Mike Wood with What Works Weekly, Be What Works Weekly with Be Coaching and Consulting. And today I'm speaking with Veronica, or Vee. And Vee, I have a question for you. What is it you do?
I do all things well. I'll start with saying that.
I love that.
Yeah, all things well. So I am a nationally board certified nurse practitioner by trade. I have several businesses, so I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I own a medical practice, a wellness center for the clinical side of my brain that needs to be engaged. And I also do coaching, consulting, and I own a couple of other, I like to call them small projects, but I have a couple of other businesses as well. In that same vein, a lot right now dealing with some AI stuff, but yeah, but my passion, the thing that I do the most and the best is being a mom. My daughter's 20, she's a junior in college, and she's expensive.
Whose fault is that?
Right? So I don't complain.
I love it.
I
I
don't
love it.
complain.
So medical field, nurse practitioner,
Mhm,
with a lot of things going on. I
mhm.
imagine you've got a whiteboard with doing this and who's in charge and I love it. And it's very I don't know if the word is addictive or addicting, but I love that space. I love the mindset of growth, of who else can I help, what else can I do that fills my heart. Take me back a little bit in time to where you had one thing. I would assume it was the nurse practitioner that you focused on, and what was the catalyst that made you think I can do more than this?
Well, I'm gonna take you back even further than that. So I started out actually as a registered nurse. So my very first business, I was still working full time as a nurse in the emergency department, and was extremely frustrated with our healthcare delivery system at the time, because we had what we call frequent flyers, right? The same people who come into the ER day in, day out, no insurance, no money, and they were bogging down the system, which ultimately made my job as a registered nurse harder. And so because I was always trying to, I'm a solution oriented person. I was like, how can I like be great, work less, but still, satisfy that itch to actually help people? So I created a home care agency as a registered nurse, and I made $1 million in my first 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, while you were working full time.
While I was working full time, had no clue, no business plan, no attorney, didn't know what the heck I was doing, and built that just on referrals. So people like, what did you do to market? I opened my mouth and I talked to people. So that's what I did. So I found, again, I found the problem, right? In that niche market, and knew that there had to be a way to keep these people from coming into the ER all the time, and so I could get off work on time ultimately. Like that literally was I wanted to get off work on time.
Right. At
Like
least you're being honest. I mean, I was selfish, so I
yeah,
saw the
I wanted to get
problem that was
paid
keeping
like
me from doing my thing, and then I solved the problem, and I got paid to solve the problem.
absolutely. So
I
yeah,
love that.
so I opened the home care agency. I was married at the time. Like I said, did really, really well that first year out, made the $1 million, and then was like, there must be something to this, and let me figure out what that looks like, as a full-time business owner. Because even then, I don't even like to call myself an entrepreneur then, because I had no clue what I was doing. I think that anybody can open a business, but you have to grow into entrepreneurship. And so, yeah, like just kind of started grinding at that point. Ended up, doing it for, I think by year three, I was making $6 million a year, had quit my job full time as the nurse. Um, my husband, at the time did the financial part because he was in that industry. So I was able to still concentrate on clinical things, built the business. Within 8 years, 6 offices, 2 states later, we probably were pulling in close to $15 million a year. He had quit his job, came on full time, and so we were living the life. And then 2008, 9, 10 happened, and I went,
Huh. That's the downside of risk that a lot of people don't talk about.
yeah, nobody wants to talk about that part.
No, no. So let me ask you that. What lessons did you learn in going broke?
So I never put all my eggs in one basket unless I'm the basket.
That's a hell of a quote. I might steal that. I'll
You
give
can
you credit
absolutely
for
have
it,
it. You can
but
absolutely have it,
that
right?
is definitely getting clipped.
Um, yeah, so I learned to honestly, slow down. Our growth was so expansive and so explosive. I had not grown into entrepreneurship, so I didn't manage it very well when challenges came, right? So again, you're talking about building a seven-figure business with no website, no marketing team, no, it was grassroots all the way. And so I didn't have systems in place to really help me streamline processes because that's ultimately how you scale your business, right? People think it's just work hard and grind. Like, nah, you got to have some systems in place. And so I didn't, right? I didn't. And so when the market turned and when the industry changed, I didn't have a way to pivot. So, real estate market, we all remember it went kaboom. And so at the time, everybody's like, oh, do real estate, own properties and get doors and all that, and I did that, and so when the market flattened out, though, I was stuck with 12 mortgages,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
people can't pay their mortgage if they're not working, which is what was going on, right? Unemployment rate was through the roof and all these other things, and so, um, the regulatory standards changed with healthcare, and so at the time, we were getting reimbursed, from state and federal resources. And when that flattened out, there wasn't there was no recourse,
Yeah.
honestly.
There's no.
When people aren't working, right? Private pay. My clients were doctors and lawyers and judges, and when they were getting their salaries cut or being furloughed, that meant they couldn't pay my invoices, which meant that I couldn't pay my 200 people that I had working for me.
Yep.
So,
Snowball.
it's a snowball, right? And so you have to know what the exit strategy is. And I talk a lot about that now. I didn't have an exit plan. So once you start your business, that's great. Anybody can start a business. We can start a million today if we wanted to. But the lesson is, what's the exit strategy? How are you going to get up out of here? Right. So, right. Are you franchising it? Are you licensing it? Are you just going to get in, make a couple of bucks and then sell it? Like, what are we doing? So there wasn't an exit strategy then. So as things kind of piled up, as the economy was doing what it was doing, I went through all of my savings, personal savings,
Right.
right? And so
You
it
were the exit strategy.
that was it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I would say one of my lessons is to definitely, have systems in place in your business, have a plan for exit strategy. Like, what happens if this? Because I didn't plan for it to be as successful as it was. I just wanted to get off work on time, right? And as you're growing your business, you have to change what ultimately the goal is. And so, yeah, I didn't, grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't grow up with financial literacy or any of that stuff. So I bought the cars, the houses, went on the trips, did all the things, right, that we are told are that now I know not to do, but nobody talks about what happens when you are cuz extremely successful fast.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that. So
Well,
so
not to interrupt you, but it's most evident in the professional sports world
mhm.
where, guys and now they can get, NIL money in college, but before it was college, they got some things taken care of, but they really hit the number coming out of college, and then you'd see a large percentage of them that 10 years after they've played, the money's all gone because nobody said, "Hey, look, don't buy the Lambo, don't buy the mansion. Let's make some smart moves right now." Except Bonilla, uh, he gets a check every year, and he's been out of the game for a long time. But that comes back to negotiating for yourself and understanding. So how did you learn how finances work? I mean, the financial literacy part, was that all self-taught also?
Yes. I don't have a degree in finance. I don't have a master's in business. I do have a master's, but it's not that, right? All of
Yeah.
my advanced degrees are in clinic, like, they're in all things that are healthcare related, so but I honestly, I got a mentor. I got a
Oh,
mentor first thing I did, got a
yeah.
mentor, right? Because when you don't have any money, the other stuff costs, and unless you know where to go find the free resources, so I will literally, my first millionaire mentor, we sat down, we talked, and again, he knew the industry I was in, he knew me, and so I'm very, very grateful for, kudos to Schaefer, give him a shout out real quick. But yeah, Schaefer told me, he was like, "Slow down, young lady," right? Because I was in my, early 30s at that point. And so he's like, "Slow down for a second. Let's go back. Let's look at what you don't know." Because I knew a
Yeah.
lot. I knew a
Right.
lot, right? He's like, "You're very, very smart, but let's talk about the things that you don't know. So let's strengthen those things." So we started literally looking at financial literacy courses that were free. I went to the local community college and went to free classes. Let's talk about how do you restore your credit. Let's talk about like your personal credit, right? Let's learn, about what investments are going to make sense for you. Let's look at how you build your business credit. Let's look at, let's look at how you're balancing your books. Do you know what a balance sheet is? Can you read a P&L?
Yeah.
No, none of that. I mean, I was making the money, but I had no clue how. It was just coming because I was a good I'm a good salesperson. I'm a
Oh,
great clinical person, right?
yeah. Yeah.
But the dollars and cents were coming because I was good at what I was doing, but not because I understood it. So
Well, it's
I went back and learned how to run a business.
yeah.
So yeah, that was very important. So I
I
did
love
that.
I love that. Have you since learning that, what changes have you implemented in your own life that you wish you could have gone back and done that would have saved you?
So in the midst of going broke, I think I said I referred to my previous husband. I was married, right? And so, in addition to financial challenges with the business, that kind of rolled over, of course, into your relationship. So, mentally, I was tapped, right? You're trying to save your business. I had a small child. I was married at the time. And so there were a lot of stressors as a mom, as a wife. And so I literally focused on just the thing that I could control. I felt like I could control learning the business part of it. So I went to therapy, number one. That was the first thing I did, right? I went to therapy, because there's some things that even, that were childhood trauma that started to come up in my business. And so I'll always say the things that you don't deal with in your personal life, they'll show up in your business. And so if you're a bad employee, you're going to be a bad employer, right? So some things they just transcend. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It just kind of is there. So I went to therapy, number one. And then number 2, I started investing. It wasn't a lot. I took literally like 150 bucks, started doing some investments in the stock, very, very safe. I wasn't too risky because I knew that, it's gonna be up and down. Sometimes it can be very volatile. So I did that. um, Buckled down and started to work on my credit, right? So again, I had a lot of debt that wasn't good debt, right? I didn't know what it meant to leverage debt
Yes.
at the time. So I had to clean that stuff up. So I went and got 3 jobs. I worked 3 jobs. It was crazy. Um, while going through trying to work on your marriage, whatever. I'm divorced now, but trying to work on that and then still trying to be a good mom. So I took a job as a consultant, flying all over the country, traveled, Monday through Saturday. I was only home 1 day a week. I had a 5, 6-year-old at the time, and so my husband, of course, became Mr. Mom, but I could make more money than he could, right? And you gotta remember during this time, he was unemployed as well because he was working for the business. And so imagine the conversation over dinner when your wife tells the husband, "We gotta lay you off because we could no longer afford your six-figure salary," right?
Right. Right.
It
That's a
it
that's a
it
tough pill to swallow right
it
there.
is, and it's crushing, right? To the relationship, to your male ego, all of
Yeah.
that because,
Totally.
men are providers and at the time but we didn't have time to grieve that because we were in survival mode, right?
Correct. Correct.
Um, so we did all those things. I went to work because I would make more money than he would. And my prayer honestly I just want to keep my kid in the school that she was in. So we moved. to a lesser expensive home because we had just built this forever home, this $2 million house. We got rid of all the things I could get rid of, which is why I tell people don't go out and buy these all designer bags and cars, and because it's worth nothing when you need
Right.
to
Yeah,
cash out.
it's pennies on the dollars. Yeah.
So I tell people, don't do that. But, try to start saving a little bit, whatever you can. And so we were very, very frugal. But I went back to school. I took, these 3 jobs. I was working as a consultant. I went back as a nurse, and I actually started working on another advanced degree because I knew that I was going to open up another business. That was the goal. Right. It was never to end up working for someone again. It was never that, because you can't go from making millions to, $30 an hour. Like it doesn't make sense, right? And so, yeah, so that's what I did. I literally worked, and I'm not telling people to do that. I'm not telling people
Right.
to do that.
Right.
I worked,
Not the healthiest, but
yeah, not the healthiest, literally 6 days a week. I did that for 3 years. We got out of debt. I was able to again save enough money to start another practice. And so that's how we were able to get it back. But again, I was in an industry where it was relatively easy for me to get a job. It wasn't hard for me to get a job. This is when there were no jobs, right?
yeah,
Healthcare, you could always find something.
sure.
And so I took my experience and started consulting. And so the more that I started consulting for other corporate companies, the more I 1099 myself and charged them. So it probably would have taken someone else probably longer to try and recover, but because I had the skill set I had, it was easier for me. The only reason why I went back to the hospital because I needed the benefits. We needed the insurance. Because otherwise I wouldn't have probably done that. But yeah, so that's what I did to kind of turn the tide a little bit. And then yeah, 2.5, 3 years, I was back at it. Opened up one practice and went from 1 to 4, right? Started hiring staff again and was just like, okay, like it never happened. And so I just continued to do the mental work, because the therapy I think is what really saved my life.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too, and I think people fail when you said what I took from you was in the good times, your flaws, your shortcomings don't come out, but in times of stress, all of a sudden, all of that gets exposed and can really destroy the foundation of what you have. I mean, I've seen it a number of times, and since I would say since 2012, the economy, housing market, things have slowed at times, but we haven't hit anything like '07, '08, '09, and '10, and that was, f for us, it started in, I would say, late '05, '06, so it was about 6 years of really bad where '08 was the worst, and then we didn't see the sun come out for a few years after that, and our market and on the real estate side has seen a slowdown because interest rates went from really low to really high, and we see a pullback, but we see nothing like it was back then, and I've
Yeah.
got people in my industry freaking out, like, because their income's gone down by 50%.
Hmm.
And they didn't have the systems in place, they didn't have the reserves in place, and they had done exactly what you said. They went out and bought expensive houses, and they bought now really really nice cars just to show everybody what they had, and then that income gets compressed, and all of a sudden you're going, "Wait a second." So, n which is why credit card debt's so high.
Yep.
So, what are 2 or 3 things that if somebody were thinking about starting a business, doing something different, they've got a skill set that they're good at, but they wanna add, maybe another revenue stream, maybe start something online. They're gonna start being an entrepreneur. What are some resources you would say, "Hey, before you do that, go talk to this or go read this," or so any helpful insight for somebody just starting out?
So I always tell people to get your head in the game, right? So because if you don't start there, nothing else matters, honestly. So mindset is always first and foremost. It's a priority for me. I tell people to start with reading a book called The Four Agreements by Daniel
I love
Louis.
it.
Right?
I
Love
love
that.
it.
Love it. Those four agreements are, listen, it is the catalyst for all things successful that you want to endeavor in. Like, and so I tell people to read, just read a book, right? Pick it up, read a book, do it on Audible, whatever. listen to it to see where you and find yourself, right? Because you know if you're flaky or not. You you know if you're disciplined or not, right? And we all have times where we are better suited or not. And so I tell people to start there, number one. Number two, do the thing that you enjoy doing, right? I enjoy taking care of people. I really do, right? And so even in healthcare, people go, yeah, but it's not sales. It is sales, right? I am a board certified family physician. I mean, physician, family nurse practitioner. So I can, I treat, I diagnose, I prescribe medications, but I have to sell you on your own health, right? Because I can't do it for you. If I'm prescribing a medication, I want you to take it. And so me talking to you about the benefits of it or not, or the risk of it, or whatever that conversation is, you ultimately have to make the decision that's best for you. But that's sales strategy. People don't like you have to be able to look at what you do and apply it to every area of your life. And so for me, even within healthcare, that part is sales. So I tell people, take a good sales class, right? Like, do some reading on how, like, the psychology of people is the psychology of people, regardless of what the industry is, right?
Right.
Business basics shows up in any industry because people think, oh, I do this, or oh, I do that, or this is different. No, it's not. It is the exact same. But you have to become a skilled, professional, right, at it, whatever it is. And so I tell people to read a book, take a sales course, do your due diligence about the market. People just
Yes.
jump into things because it looks good on social media. That is the wrong thing to do. That is the wrong thing to do. So doing something that you're absolutely passionate about, doing that, having a plan, not necessarily quote unquote a business plan. I made
Yeah.
millions without a business plan. So can it
Right.
be done? Yeah. Um, and some people have called me an anomaly, and I appreciate that. However, I did go back and do one. So you got to have a plan, right? Who are we talking to, and why are we talking to them, and what do I want them to do? So understanding messaging. The art of selling, the art of building a business is systems, right? How good are your organization? What does your time management look like, right? W- w- What's the goal?
That's huge. Time management. Where is your focus?
Absolutely. Because again, consistency is
SOPs.
key. Exactly. What
Yeah.
SOPs do you have? And most people don't have them. One of the things that I find in my coaching program is that most people do not. When I say that, they go, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, how do you do the thing that you do?" And they're like, "Oh, I just do ABCD." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's in your head. So take
I'm
it out
just
of your
very
head."
personable. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I'm charismatic, V. Come on.
I get it, but no. But
Right.
no.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, so I tell people, to take the things that are in your head, write it down, right? Put it on paper and look at it and make sure it makes sense, right? And have someone else maybe read it to make sure that they're following, whatever those steps are, whatever you want to get them to.
That I think is the key because my belief with SOPs is if something were to happen to me and tomorrow I could not work and somebody came in to do my job,
Mhm.
how would I lay it out so they knew exactly how to do it exactly the way I did it? And the only way to
Absolutely.
do it is to document it. And nowadays you can use Loom. You can they have software where you can have it basically write the SOPs for you, and it only costs a couple bucks. So
Absolutely.
you said that you coach.
Mhm.
Who's your ideal client as a student?
Women in business,
Women in business. So
period.
if
Doesn't
I love
matter
it.
the industry.
I love
'Cause
it.
it's all the same. It
Yeah.
literally, I coach nurses or doctors? Yes, I do. But in general, it's women in business. And
Yeah.
it's because it's this like the foundational things are the same, right? So we get a little technical when I'm coaching healthcare entrepreneurs because it's specific to whatever, right? Like I'm not going to coach an orthopedic surgeon the way that I coach the mom trying to get her baking company, right?
Yeah.
To the market. It's
Sure.
it's only because the specifics of what you do are different. But the foundational things literally are 5 pillars. One is gonna be mindset. I call them the 5 M's. So the one is
I love it.
mindset,
I'm gonna
right?
write them down.
So you
Okay.
got your
Mindset.
mindset. Mindset.
Love it.
The second thing that you're gonna focus on is gonna be your message, right? Who are you talking to and what are you telling them? And are you talking to the right people, right? The third thing that you're gonna talk about is the momentum. You gotta be doing something. right? People, we plan, we talk, we ideate, we do all the things. We have all these, ideations, and nothing happens because there's no momentum,
We're gonna.
right?
I
Right?
call it the gonna list.
Right?
Give me your I'm gonna do it list. Yeah,
Exactly, you have
I love
that,
that.
and then so the other M is gonna be marketing. You have to understand marketing, right? People go, "Build it and they will come." That is not necessarily true, right?
Correct.
That is not
Yeah.
necessarily true. You can build it and then you're like, "Where are all the people?" You're like, "Eh." And the last thing you understand is money. It's the capital. Where's it coming from to start this business, right? How do you make the money? And not only how do you make it, how do you keep it? So you gotta understand those 5 M's. If you don't, you're dead in the water. And that's
I
any
totally
industry,
agree.
right? That's Fortune 500 companies or, the startup trying to get a loan. So, yeah, those 5 M's are definitely important.
Universal, universal. How can somebody get a hold of you if I'm a woman in business and I say, "Oh my gosh, V just totally spoke to me." How do I get a hold of you?
So they can go to veethenp.com, right? Then go to my website. They can follow me on social media. I'm Vee The NP, VEETHENP across all social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn as Veronica Smith Sutherland or Vee The NP. So yeah, just hit me up. I'm hanging out, you know, high in the sky here with my,
Can can you show them your view real quick?
oh, people are gonna like, but
I
you're
know
broke.
that
I'm
sounds
like, I'm
silly,
not
and
broke
nobody does
anymore.
this on a podcast, but
Right, it's so
I'm
listen.
jealous, so
That's my view.
oh,
I'm sitting
that
at
is
my
your
kitchen
view.
table. So
You
that's the
just sit
view.
there. You can sit there and watch Monday Night Football live on the balcony.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it. But I mean, that's a evidence of success right there. I mean, it's
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you're not doing it to flex. You're doing it because I called you out on it. That's all, which I
yeah.
appreciate.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, listen, yeah, definitely not a flex. I think the flex is still being here, right? 25 years and still, successful, even though I've had my challenges, of course, like every other successful person that I surround myself around. But
love that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, failure is a great lesson teacher, and
absolutely.
yeah, that's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
So yeah.
Cool.
So
Well,
that's Be the MP in a nutshell and my take on entrepreneurship.
I love it. Well, I appreciate your time. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you guys are listening, you want to hit her up, hit her up. Go get it.
Ew.
Action takes care of the gonna do list. So go.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.